Welcome to Happy Healthy Living with Yvonne Douglas. My name is Doug, and today we are going to do another Halloween craft. This one is a painting, and I hope you stay tuned.
'Twas a long time ago, longer now than it seems, in a place that perhaps you've seen in your dreams. For the story that you're about to be told began with the holiday worlds of old. Now you've probably wondered where holidays come from. If you haven't, I'd say it's time you begun.
We're back. So what gave me this idea was I saw this painting at Michael's. I think it was Michael's or at home. And I thought to myself, wow, that is such an easy painting to do. And it wasn't that they were charging a lot of money for it, but I thought to myself, that is something we can do at home and create our own. Let me tell you about all the supplies you're going to need for this project. First of all, you're going to need canvas. This is 8x10 canvas. This has already been primed. These are fairly inexpensive. You can get a bunch of them in a package, like 5 to a package. They sell them at craft stores. You can get them on Amazon. And so when you have these, for the holidays, you can just take out one and create your own painting that goes along with the holiday. So I have some of these down here. And so I just thought, I'm going to do an 8x10. I think that's a good size because I'm actually going to I'm not going to hang it on the wall, but I'm going to prop it on a stand where I'm going to have a lot of my Halloween decor. So you need that 8x10 canvas or larger. You can do whatever size you want. You're going to need some paintbrushes. I have a really thick paintbrush here. This is basically for the background. It's going to be all black, so super simple. And then I have a medium size and a real small one. The small one is going to be for those details, like the eyes on the ghost. And then this I'm just going to use for the white, all right, for the ghost. Now, we're also going to use paint. So I'm using acrylic paint. I have black here, I have white. This is titanium white, and this is permanent black. And then I also have a little tube of this is called neutral gray. We're going to add just a little bit of gray to it in certain areas. Ruler, you might need a ruler because we want to we're not going to copy this painting exactly the same, but it's going to be close. And so I want to use a ruler to kind of see how many ghosts are going to be across and, you know, horizontal and vertically. You're going to need a paint palette, but guess what? I couldn't find a paint palette. I think I used up all my plastic paint palettes. You need to go to the store and get more. So I just have this plastic little tub, and I'm just going to use that in the meantime for my paint. You're gonna definitely need a pencil because we're gonna draw it out first on the canvas. And then this is the most important thing because on that painting, it actually had some texture to it. So the way we're gonna add that texture is by using shiny, brilliant, white puffy paint. We're gonna be using puffy paint to give that texture look. All right, so those are your supplies that you're going to need. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I kind of counted how many ghosts, and I think there were about 30. So I kind of drew as close as I could. It's not exactly the same positioning, but pretty close of the ghost heads and how they're sticking up, and I have approximately 30 here. So this is going to be painted all black. That's going to be super easy. That's the background. And then the ghosts are going to be fairly easy too because all we're using is white paint, black for the eyes. We're going to add a little gray, and then of course, like I said, that puffy paint. So this is should be a fairly quick project, pretty easy. And one thing you should always have are some paper towels, just in case something splatters somewhere. But we're going to start out doing our black first. Let's do the black first. So I'm just putting some black in this Like I said, I didn't have a paint palette. I got to run to the store and get some more paint palettes. I'm going to use this big brush here, and we're just going to do the background. And when we do the background, we also want to make sure that we do the top sides and, you know, the top and the sides, I should say. Because even though it's going to be in a frame, we have a very inexpensive frame that we're going to be putting it in. It's just a black frame. And yeah, so I think that that's going to be pretty easy. And once again, make sure you get that top part of the canvas. And this is just a fun little project you can do on your own. If you want to do it with kids even, you could actually do it with kids. It's not as complicated as you might think. And of course, they don't have to make it exactly the same as the picture that we saw. That's just really to give us some inspiration, but kind of close. I kind of liked it, but I thought, hey, you know, I can make that myself. Let's see. I thought it'd be a fun project for you guys too to watch. So we're just gonna do that. And could you have started using the ghost, painting the ghost? Sure, you could have done that. But I wanted to do the black first just to get it out of the way. And when you paint, you probably want to go in one direction, however you want. If you want to add some texture, you could actually do some swirls in the background, make it look kind of Starry Night-ish if you wanted to. But I'm just going to have mine all black. You could be as creative as you want. That's why I love art, because you get to make it how you want it. No one should really be telling you exactly what to do. If you want to change something up, be my guest. I encourage that. Now don't worry so much about the roundness of the ghost right now. You just want to get as close as you can, and doesn't have to be perfect for right now. This is just to get that black paint on there. And yeah, you don't have to worry about going in between the ghosts either. That's what that puffy paint's going to be for. Almost like to outline it. Okay. Nice. We're almost done with the background. All right, see how easy that was? Now we're going to let this dry just a bit, and then we're going to move on for the ghosts. Now you might say, well, Doug, what about, see how it's not so round here? We're going to clean that up with the white. So don't worry so much about that. I do notice this little part here, I'm going to come down just a little bit. Okay. Good job. All right, nice. Just get this little part. Perfect. All right, we're done with the background. Easy peasy, pumpkin squeezy. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to show you. I used a little bit smaller brush, like a medium size, and what I did was I got some more black paint, and I'm kind of doing these curves, kind of like wind is blowing in the dark. You can kind of see it. It's kind of hard to probably see on the camera, but it kind of gives the effect like there's some wind in this, you know, going on in the sky back there. So, like I said, you could do Starry Night swirls. You can do curved lines to represent maybe wind. You could just have solid black, of course, like the original picture. But I kind of like the way that looks, you know. And plus, I kind of went a little bit closer to my rounded lines with the smaller brush. Okay, we're gonna just let that dry just a bit, and then we're gonna start on our ghosts. Okay, so a quick check, what we've done so far. Very first thing we did, make sure that your canvas is vertical. We also kind of looked at our picture there and kind of counted how many ghosts there were about. Remember, we're not trying to make it exactly the same, but we're going to try to come a little close, as close as possible. And so it has about 30 ghosts in that picture. So that's how many ghosts I have about. We kind of just free-handed the drawing of it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, as you can see with these lines, because we're going to go over it with paint anyway. What's going to give us that separation of the ghost is the puffy paint, like I just stated. So make sure you definitely have puffy paint. And it's like fabric paint, puffy paint. Kind of gives that 3D effect. It kind of pops up a little bit. In here, I just have now my white. This is my titanium white, and then I added just a little bit of gray because with our little sides and the top of our heads, we're going to add just a touch of gray. Doesn't really have that in the original painting, but I wanted to put that in. And of course, the eyes are going to be simple. It's just going to be black. So I have a very, very, very thin, very small brush just to add the eyes that are going to be black. And yeah, so I think it's going to turn out really good. And like I said, this is a fun little project to do. Usually for the holidays, I like to create something. It might be a wreath, it might be a painting, it might be a clay sculpture or something, some craft. And so, yeah, I'm going to be doing that. So I think it's going to look great. Okay, so we're going to start with our white, and I'm using that medium-sized brush. And I'm just going to start painting in those areas where I kind of drew the outline of the ghost. So I'm just adding my white there. Just adding that white. A titanium white, I'm going on the side of the canvas too. And when you're painting the white, it doesn't even look like you could see it, but it's there, you can see. Now, if your black is not 100% dry, like mine's not 100% dry, be careful when you're going close to the edge because you don't want to drag in that black. It won't look that good. Another thing too, with this acrylic paint, you could actually create some texture too with the acrylic paint. So it doesn't have to be all smooth. You know, a ghost is like you see the lines of the sheet, you know, so you could do something like that. So don't worry so much if you see some texture when you're painting with the white, but you do want to fill it with that white. You can kind of touch the pencil, but make sure you know where that pencil mark is, you know. You don't want to cover it all up because then you won't be able to know where you put your ghost. All right, so you want to see a little bit of that pencil. Don't get rid of that pencil when you're painting over it. All right, very easy. So I'm going to continue doing this, and when I'm done painting with all the white, I'll show you our next step. Okay, so what we have here is I have a small little brush, and what I'm going to do with the white, this is pretty much all dry now, but with the white, I'm going to just add a little bit, and I'm just going to go around the shape of the ghost. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of tapping. I'm not doing like a straight line, I'm just tapping it. And the reason why, when I tap it and it's next to that black, it kind of gives like a, almost like a glow if you look up close. It's kind of hard to see probably on the camera. And it also adds like a finishing touch to the shape. So it has like a slight, very slight glow. And you only need to do this to the ones that are next to the black. So very easy, nothing hard. Okay, and that's all it is. Very easy, very simple. All right, we're going to let that dry now, and then we're going to add some of the gray with the white, and then we're going to end it with, well, we're going to do the puffy paint too, and then we're going to end it with the eyes. Very simple. Okay, so for my next step, I am going to get a thin brush. I'm going to use this one here. And this is the one that's going to be mixed with the gray, a little white, a little titanium white, mixed with just a little bit of that gray. So we want a very, 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 very light gray. And you just play around with that color, just adding more white to get it lighter. And if you need to get it darker, then just add more gray. But this is the color that I like. Hopefully you can see that right in here. This is what I'm looking at. All right, so what I want to do with that is pretty much on the outlines of the pencil. We're kind of going back over some of those. Not a lot. Don't do a lot. Supposed to be very, very, very faint. Okay. You just want to be able to see the separation of the ghosts. And if you do a little too much, like right here, hopefully you can see that. I had a little too much. Easy. Just go back over it with the white. No big whoop. So I'm going to continue that. And when that's all done, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I went over pretty much all the lines with the gray. And so now some areas have a little bit too much gray, like here and there and there. So what you do, just get that titanium white and just go over it. You know, that's all you do. Just go back over it. Because you want just a very, very light showing of the gray. And like I said, we're going to be adding that puffy paint too. And that's going to help. You definitely want that titanium white. That's the white you want to use. Okay. It's coming along very nicely, exactly the way I thought it would. And we're just going to smooth these out. And I'll continue doing that. And by the time we come back, we are going to do the puffy paint. And then, of course, we're going to do the eyes of the ghosts, which is our finishing touch. And it's going to look really awesome. And it's going to be very similar to that painting. And then we'll put it in our little frame that we have. Our little inexpensive frame I got off of Amazon. I think it was around not even $10, something like that. I actually got it a while back and I just kept it. So you could have find some deals, or you could always go, if you don't want to spend that much on a frame, you could always check out the dollar store. Their frames are not that great though. And sometimes Hobby Lobby has some really good deals on frames too. You might want to check them out. Okay, looking good. All right, we'll be back. Okay, so what we did was added the puffy paint. Now, when you add the puffy paint, it's very, very, very simple. This is the puffy paint, and you just kind of outline, go over the outline of what you did in gray. That gray is going to add that shadow, and you just want to kind of just go over each part. And the puffy paint kind of like just makes it 3D. It makes it pop a little bit, just like in that painting. So we're just adding it. Not, you don't have to outline the entire ghost, just a little bit here and there. You just want to see that separation. And like this one, I'm going to just do a little bit more here. And the top of the head is super important. So make sure you get the top of the heads, because I think that's going to really be important to do. All right. And then we just got to let that dry. And then the last bit is just adding the eyes. Very simple in black. So we are almost done. We're just going to let that dry completely. And I love how it looks. And see, this is the fun part, guys, is that you are... Now look what just happened. I want to show you what just happened. When I squeezed, a little bit came out. Very simple. Don't panic if that happens to you. So I know sometimes people will panic. Just get a little paper towel, dab that off, and then you're just going to go back over that later with some black paint. Okay? Just go over that little section with black paint, and no one will ever know. I love it. Okay, so it's not 100% dry, but see, like you can see when you touch it what happens. So, um, so don't do that. What you're gonna do, but it's basically dry. Once it's fully dry, we're gonna add the eyes. And so I'm gonna use this very, very thin brush here for the eyes. And of course, the ones that are bigger, the ghosts that are bigger, you probably want to make bigger eyes. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to continue working on my eyes, and then I'll show you when it's all done. Well, there you go. I just love it. I think it turned out so cute and very similar to the painting that we saw at Michael's. So now all we have to do is put it in a frame and we'll be done. Okay, so it is done. As you can see, I think it looks pretty good. And this is the frame. Now this frame was around $10 I got off of Amazon. I like it because it's one of those where it kind of floats, I guess. I forgot what they call it. But anyway, it has this Velcro, and it's very easy. They already have the rough side onto the frame, and so you just peel and you place... I gotta flip it. You gotta place the soft part so it connects, and then we're just gonna place the canvas right on top and press down just a bit so it holds. And there you go. Look at that. I love it. I think it turned out great. It even has little hooks in the back if you wanted to hang it. You could hang it horizontally or this way, but of course, since it's vertical, we want it like this. But what I plan on doing is just getting a little stand. Not this. This is my easel. But, you know, one of those picture stands, and just placing it on there, you know, and having my Halloween around it. So last thing we want to do is what I'm going to do is just put my initials at the bottom there. Sign my art. You should always sign your art. And there it is. I think it turned out awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Happy Healthy Living with Yvonne Douglas today. Remember, if you want that homey vibe or scary vibe, you need to subscribe, and please give this video a like. Until next time, my friends, happy healthy living. Bye-bye.